Welcome into A Toast of Film. I'm your host, Ebo, and guys, it is officially October, which means it's officially Halloween season. So, in that, today I will be talking about 3 movies that went to theaters. 2 I watched in theaters, 1 I watched on streaming, as well as every week this month, we're going to do a mystery Halloween movie recommendation. This is week 1. We're starting off with a creature feature. So stay tuned for that. But guys, we are toasting this week. We got this nice pumpkin head from Shipyard. It has like a very bitter undertone. It's not terrible. It's not one of my favorites. I will go on the record. Not one of my favorites, but it's not bad. You know, you pop this on, you get a nice little bonfire going. You're going to have a decent time. All right, but let's get into what we need to. So starting out, because the reviews are going to be Strangers Chapter 2, The Home, Bone Lake, and our mystery movie. So, Strangers Chapter 2, this is from director Renny Harlin. And Renny Harlin has a bevy of films, you know, some good, some bad, some in between. He directed Nightmare on Elm Street 4 with Tuesday Night, one of my personal favorites. He also directed Deep Blue Sea, one of the best shark films that's not called Jaws, you know, amongst other things. And we got Madeleine Petsch returning as Maya. So in chapter 1, you know, they did the typical stranger story where her and her man, they're being hunted down and end up getting killed. But the strangers didn't do a good enough job. Madeleine Petsch, she's a redhead on a mission. So with this movie, great trailer for chapter 2. Because the first one I liked, I didn't love. I liked it though. Here's the thing with this film. When you watch it, you're like, this should have been 2 films, not a trilogy. I understand everyone wants a trilogy. You know, trilogy is the, you know, as they say, it's the sexy thing to do. Everyone's like, ooh, a trilogy. Yeah. But sometimes just part 1, part 2, perfectly fine. Because with this, you get a very half-ass backstory focused in this, as well as continuing chapter 1. So it's going back and forth between this really poorly done backstory and the events taking place after the events of part 1. And, you know, they had like the last 10, I think what they should have done, they should have made this an origin story for the strangers. And then like the last 10 minutes cut to Madeleine Petsch in the hospital and, you know, continue our story for there. Because with this, both sides kind of struggle because they didn't really have a lot going on for Madeleine Petsch and the strangers in present day. And the backstory is terrible. And you really have to suspend disbelief because I understand this is a small, you know, country bumpkin town. But when a whole hospital gets massacred, like, come on, let's do. The toll on Madeleine Petsch's body is too much because she's just like that girl next door. And the toll on her body, like, even survivalists would be barely able to do anything. And there's one thing I like the idea. There is a CGI pig. I like the idea, but what the pig does, the size of it, all that, it's too much. It's way too much. So Strangers Chapter 2, I will say there is a credit scene where they give you a trailer for Chapter 3. And I'm still excited. I'm still invested. So good job, Renny Harlin, on that. I'm still invested. But this movie, I'm going to give like a 2.1 out of 5 cheers. I just think there's not too much going on. You know, Madeleine Petsch is putting her all into this movie, but there's just nothing going on. But you know what? Let's get a little good news in here. So we got The Home. So this is from director James DeMonaco, who is the writer director of the first 3 Purge films, the writer of the 4th and 5th Purge films, as well as Jack, the Robin Williams film. Jack, great movie. But this has Pete Davidson as Max. And Max, he had a loss as a kid that messed him up. So now he's smoking doobies and doing spray paint. He just doesn't care about life, covering tattoos. And so his foster parents, who are the only parents he's ever had, they're like, okay, we could have deal with the judge. You just got to go do community service at an old folks home. And, the residents, they're all interesting characters. I will say John Glover is Lou. Very interesting cat. But with this, there's a little bit of mystery, a little bit intrigue. Pete Davidson, for once, is actually likable, which is a shocker to me because he always plays a very unlikable character. But I thought this was an interesting little horror movie. It had me invested. I'm watching. I'm having a good time. And then the last 10, 15 minutes, this movie goes crazy, which I really appreciate. The Home, don't look up anything. I think the less you know, the more interesting it is because the twists and turns. So I would give The Home a 3.5 out of 5 cheers. I really like this movie. And, it's one I want to pick up for movie, have a Blu-ray of it and keep it in the rotation for Halloween. Not every year, but, every other year, every 2-3 years, it would be a nice little one to pop on. All right, so Bone Lake. This one just hit theaters recently. And this is from director Mercedes Bryce Morgan, who, like a lot of first-time, horror directors, she did a lot of music videos. And so she did a lot for Marshmello. So this has Maddie Hassan as Sage and Marco Pagosi as Diego. They're this couple, they're in love, and they book this beautiful lakeside house that they're going to stay at for the weekend. But oh no, Alex Rose, Will, and Andra Nachita Sin, short for Cinnamon, they also booked it. Oh no, now both couples are there and things happen. Let me tell y'all, there's one thing you need to know about this movie is capital S-E-X, sex. Because in this movie, they are either having sex, referring to sex, talking about sex. There's visuals like paintings and, sex toys. Like this movie from start to finish is all about sex. Just sex, 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 sex. And, shout out to, so there's only real nudity in this movie is the opening scene. So shout out to Clayton Spencer as Brett and Elian Reyes as Lisa because they show everything. They go full buck, So Bone Lake, like I said, you gotta, if you can get past the sex, I was like invested. I was enjoying it. Some decent performances. A character makes a decision in this movie. And I was like, I'm out on this movie. I have A-list and I was like, I don't even want to watch this movie. Like, I'm just so annoyed by that decision. However, I have never had a movie rebound more than because I was in the low 2s, high 1s because of this one character's choice. And then that movie rebounds. They give you some really good stuff. They give you some good, development. And the ending also crazy. So Bone Lake, I actually do recommend it. I'm going to give it a 3.4 out of 5 cheers. It's a good time. You just got to get past the sex. Maybe you like that. Who knows? And now we're at the end of the episode. And normally we do a list. But since it is Halloween season, we're going to do mystery horror movie recommendations. And the first theme was a creature feature. So this is directed by George Pavlou and written by the legendary Clive Barker, Nightbreed, Hellraiser. And this is about an ancient creature called Rawhead, who is awakened from its slumber near an Irish village and goes on a rampage, killing anyone in sight. That's right. This is Rawhead Rex. If you've never seen Rawhead Rex and you like creatures, one of the craziest creature designs you'll ever see. I mean, he's got this big old mouth. He's got this big hair. Just crazy. 2, everybody's on the table. I mean, he'll eat a kid. he'll eat anybody. And, so no one's safe in this movie from Rawhead and his power. And 3, shout out to Heinrich von Schlendorf. He played Rawhead Rex, and this is the only role he's ever played, and he is 6'11". So that just shows you, like, Rawhead is just huge. Rawhead Rex, can't recommend enough. Fun movie, hilarious movie. Also, just great, crazy action and stuff. Rawhead Rex, check it out. 4 out of 5 cheers. But guys, we reached the end of the episode. I like to keep it short and sweet, just like me. And if you want to let us know what you think of any of these movies I talked about, or you want to let us know some of your favorite horror movies, check out. We love to hear it. We're a horror movie guys. Then let me tell you the best ways. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok, A Toast to Film, all one word. Check us out on Twitter at film_toast, or check us out on wonderful YouTube. So behind me, is a green screen, but this weekend I have the movie wall being put in. So stay tuned for that. And make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe. We really appreciate it. And, make sure today you tell somebody you love them. And from Trey and myself, we just wish you a good night and good viewing.